Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jayam Vishnupad Paramhans Parivrajakacarya Stotra Shat His Divine Grace Abhay Charnaravinda Bhaktivedanta Tridandi Gosai Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Gaur. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pasyatati Sutarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Shri Shri Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Reading from third canto, 31st chapter, entitled The Movements of the Living Entities, verse 20. I think this will go in a Brahma Samhita meter. Soham vasan api vibho bahu-duḥkha-vāsaṁ. Soham vasan api vibho bahu-duḥkha-vāsaṁ. Garbhān nirjigamiṣe bahir andha-kūpe. Garbhān nirjigamiṣe bahir andha-kūpe. Yatropayātam upasarpati deva-māyā. Yatropayātam upasarpati deva-māyā. Mithyā matir yad-anu saṁsṛti-cakram etat. Mithyā matir yad-anu saṁsṛti-cakram etat. Soham vasan api vibho bahu-duḥkha-vāsaṁ. Garbhān nirjigamiṣe bahir andha-kūpe. Yatropayātam upasarpati deva-māyā. Mithyā matir yad-anu saṁsṛti-cakram. yatropayātam upasarpati deva-māyā. Mithyā matir yad-anu saṁsṛti-cakram etat. Aham vasan api vibho bahu-duḥkha-vāsaṁ. Garbhān nirjigamiṣe bahir andha-kūpe. Yatropayātam upasarpati deva-māyā. Etat. Vasan api vibho bahu-duḥkha-vāsaṁ. Andha-kūpe. Yatropayātam upasarpati deva-māyā. Mithyā matir yad-anu Vaishnavis. Synonyms. Sa aham, I myself. Vasan, living. Api, although. Vibho, O Lord. Bahu-duḥkha, with many miseries. Vāsam, in a condition. Garbhāt, from the abdomen. Not. Nirjigamiṣe, I wish to depart. Bahir, outside. Andha-kūpe, in the blind well. Yatra, where. Upayātam, one who goes there. Upasarpati, she captures. Deva-māyā, the external energy of the Lord. Mithyā, false. Matir, identification. Yat, which. Māyā, which Māyā. Anu, according to. Saṁsṛti, of continual birth and death. Cakram, cycle. Etat, this. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Therefore, my Lord, although I am living in a terrible condition, I do not wish to depart from my mother's abdomen to fall again into the blind well of materialistic life. Your external energy, called deva-māyā, at once captures the newly born child, and immediately false identification, which is the beginning of the cycle of continual birth and death, begins. Purport. As long as the child is within the womb of his mother, he is in a very precarious and horrible condition of life. But the benefit is that he revives pure consciousness of his relationship with the Supreme Lord and prays for deliverance. But once he is outside the abdomen, when a child is born, Maya, or the illusory energy, is so strong that he is immediately overpowered into considering his body to be his self. Maya means illusion, or that which is actually not. In the material world, everyone is identifying with his body. This false egoistic consciousness of I am this body, at once develops after the child comes out of the womb. The mother and other relatives are awaiting the child, and as soon as he is born, the mother feeds him and everyone takes care of him. The living entity soon forgets his position and becomes entangled in bodily relationships. The entire material existence is entanglement in this bodily conception of life. Real knowledge means to develop the consciousness of I am not this body, I am spirit, soul, an eternal part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. Real knowledge entails renunciation or non-acceptance of this body as the self. By the influence of Maya, the external energy, one forgets everything just after birth. Therefore, the child is praying that he prefers to remain within the womb rather than come out. It is said that Sukadeva Goswami, on this consideration, remained for 16 years within the womb of his mother. He did not want to be entangled in false bodily identification. After cultivating such knowledge within the womb of his mother, he came out at the end of 16 years and immediately left home so that he might not be captured by the influence of Maya. The influence of Maya is also explained in Bhagavad Gita as insurmountable. But insurmountable Maya can be overcome simply by Krishna consciousness. That is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Mam eva ye prapadyante mayam etam tarantite. Whoever surrenders unto the lotus feet of Krishna can get out of this false conception of life. By the influence of Maya only, one forgets his eternal relationship with Krishna and identifies himself with his body and the byproducts of the body, namely wife, children, society, friendship and love. Thus, he becomes a victim of the influence of Maya, and his materialistic life of continued birth and death becomes still more stringent. Hare Krishna. What can I say in front of this exalted assembly of devotees? So Vas Prabhu, Bhrigupati Prabhu, Sachitanaya Prabhu, Krishnapad Prabhu, Mother Shyampriya, all those are so exalted and seniors. I don't have any, I'm feeling so puny, and it's very small. But I'll seek your blessings so that I can bring in some pleasure to you by Krishna Katha. So this continues the prayers of the jiva living in the womb of the mother. So in the previous verses we see that how over a period of weeks and months he develops various organs, body, and so on and so forth, and by the time he gets up to 7th and 8th month, the jiva is starting to realize himself that I am in this, we can say, enclosure of darkness, where it is all full of worms and it is biting his body. He is going through so much of troubles. He's not even taken birth, but even before birth he is getting into so much of miseries of life. He's realizing it. So we see that how when the mother is eating any spicy food or pungent food, all that affects the infant or whatever in the fetus, and going through so much of trouble. So this is a nice glorification of the Supreme Lord, of how the Supreme Lord's Shakti, because he is Sarva Shaktiman. And one of his Shakti is deva-māyā. That's what is mentioned here. Deva-māyā, Prabhupada translates as the external energy of the Lord, which is also called as Bahiranga Shakti. And that Bahiranga Shakti is what is so powerful. It is described here as insurmountable. Devi hi esha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya mam evaja prapadyante mayam etam tarantite. Krishna is saying Devi hi esha gunamayi, that this energy is Devi. It's a very powerful energy of me, and the only way of overcoming that energy is Mam eva ye prapadyante. Only by surrendering unto Krishna one can overcome this energy, or this we can say Maya, which is also called illusion, is only possible by surrender unto Krishna. Of course, the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita, Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mam Ekam Sharanam Vraja. Krishna is saying, abandon all the religion. That's towards the end. But even in the middle of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is already telling Arjuna, surrendering is the only process through which, the jiva can overcome all the problems of life. So this is a very nice glorification of this jiva within the womb. So one would start to think, how is it possible for somebody who was in andha-tamishra, which means he was in the hell, and in the previous life he was graha-medi, spending all his life in sense gratification. He was no way engaged in any kind of spiritual activity. How is this jiva suddenly starting to pray to the Supreme Lord? Where does this consciousness come from? He has not practiced any bhakti. He has not practiced any spiritual activities, sadhana bhakti, but how is he glorifying the Lord? In some of the previous verses, just before this verse, Prabhupada mentions that unless somebody receives the mercy of the Supreme Lord, he cannot even start to understand the glories of Supreme Lord. His form, his activities, his name, his glories. It's impossible. How is this happening? To solve this puzzle, I went back to Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's comment. He says, this happens only with fortunate jivas who are actually devotees in the previous life. They have practiced prayers, worship, and that consciousness continues in that life. Guru Krishna Prasade Paye Bhakti Lata Bij. Without having the seed of bhakti or even have practiced, how can he start to praise? It is impossible. If you look at the verses where it starts, this prayers is starting, it's a grammatical explanation given by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. He says, the verse starts as Jantu Uvacha. Uvacha means it's actually in the past. It's in the case which happened in the past. Like in the Bhagavad Gita, we have Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. And so that is referring to an instance which happened in the past. Uvacha is a past tense. So which means Vishwanath Chakravarti is saying this is an instance quoted by Kapila, especially for those who are Rishi and Munis. They are exalted devotees. They realize their miserable condition in this material life, and then they start to praise Krishna. This does not happen. Like, how do you imagine that somebody who is totally in ignorance can fold his hands, like having this feeling of surrendering that without Supreme Lord's shelter, I am nobody. I cannot do anything. This is like very high state of devotional consciousness. This is not ordinary jiva. In fact, if you look at the previous verse, it says Rishi. Rishi are those exalted sages who actually have practiced spiritual life. In fact, it can be also like even Brahmavadis. Brahmavadis means who may not be devotees of Krishna, but they have knowledge from Jnana Yoga. And that is why in this verse, Prabhupada mentions Sukadeva Goswami. It's very, very significant why Sukadeva Goswami is mentioned here. I think it is for two reasons. One, the jiva in the womb can be a devotee, because, devotee starts sadhana bhakti, he may not finish this whole process of attaining bhava and prema, and that process continues. So he comes into this life and then he goes, and the process continues. Or it could be a jnani, like Sukadeva Goswami, Brahmavadi, who is in the process of detaching himself from material world through knowledge, detaching himself from karma, miseries, material body, trying to disassociate himself completely from material world, and having the destination of Brahma Jyoti. So these could be two categories. So in this case of Sukadeva Goswami is very significant. One, because Sukadeva Goswami also in the beginning, he was a Brahmavadi. To start with, he was not a devotee. How did he become a devotee? Because of his association of his father and Srimad Bhagavatam. When his father would recite Srimad Bhagavatam, he would hear from the womb of his mother, and that was so relishable that he said, I don't want to come out of that place. I just want to continue hearing Krishna Katha, because this is what gives me pleasure. And of course, he had the knowledge that this material world is full of miseries. The moment I get out of this material world, I am going to be, look at this. In this world, when somebody just takes birth, they say, hey, it is a boy, it is a girl, this is your father, this is your mother. Immediately the material relationship starts to establish, and you start to identify, okay, I am this person's son, daughter, and they are my father, mother, brother, sister, and the relationships goes on and on with friends and all that. Of course, in India, we don't even know before the birth if it is boy or a girl. Of course, in Western world, you will know it, because in India, it's kind of banned. You're not supposed to know the gender of the child before it is born. So it's a surprise. Until the last moment, the parents would never know if it is a boy or a girl. In US and Western worlds, it's quite open. Anyways, so Sukadeva Goswami, his case is quite exceptional. He's a very, very exalted devotee. And his desire that he does not want to come out of the womb of his mother, and he actually did not come out for 16 years. Can we imagine? He's like staying in the womb for 16 years, which means his limbs and everything is grown. He's like a full-blown boy. And then he comes out, and then he walks out immediately from his house. He's renunciating everything. His father, Vyasadeva, is calling, boy, stop. You cannot just go immediately. We need to spend, we love you, we want you to be here. But he's saying, no, I am going away. He's gone in a moment. And Vyasadeva is like, embracing the trees, because he didn't get the embrace of his son. That's the love which the father has for the son. So in that way, Sukadeva Goswami's example is very, very exceptional. So one should not think that this phenomena of the jiva praying is for everybody. Like anybody in this material world getting born, they will pray to Supreme Lord. How will they pray? They are totally in ignorance. They don't even have this experience of Supreme Lord. How can they start to glorify? So this happens with very, very special cases, not with every cases. I think this is why I think Vishwanath Chakravarti over and over talks about this case, that this is only, and in this case, Sukadeva Goswami, when he was a Brahmavadi, of course, he knows that I am not this material body, I am a spirit, soul and all that. He got this mercy only by the association of devotees. So this goes to prove that unless one gets the association of a pure devotee, it's actually impossible to actually get into this stage of understanding Supreme Lord, understanding their position, and establishing that relationship, sambandha gyan. So one may ask, okay, fine, Sukadeva Goswami had the association of Vyasadeva. Yes, very, very fortunate. Everybody does not get that. Arjuna, when he was acting in ignorance, of course Arjuna is a pure devotee, Krishna put him in ignorance so that he can now speak Bhagavad Gita. When he was in ignorance, Krishna spoke to him personally. The Supreme Lord is speaking the full knowledge, the essence of all Vedic knowledge to Arjuna, and his illusion is dissipated, and he is now realizing, or whatever, he realizes that he is the Supreme Lord. My whole purpose is to serve you. So one may ask, how does any ordinary jiva can get this fortune of getting this knowledge? It's impossible. But if somebody is fortunate to get an association of a devotee, then they have a chance. So devotees are generally compared to a conduit. Conduit is like a pipe. How the water flows from one place to another through a pipe, similarly the devotees are compared to a conduit, and they are helping the mercy to flow from Krishna to this world. That is the general phenomena through which the mercy comes down. Because Krishna is not there, Krishna has gone back. Krishna swadhame bhagate dharma jnana divi saha kalau nashtam drishamesha puranarko dhunodita. Krishna has gone back with all his knowledge, all the dharma. There is nothing left behind. What do we do? The answer is Srimad Bhagavatam is there. This Srimad Bhagavatam is Puranarko. Of all the Purana, this is the sun. This is the most brilliant scripture, topmost fruit of Vedic literature. If one gets this, they are very, very fortunate. But then somebody may just give a Srimad Bhagavatam. It has the knowledge. But if it has no bhakti, bhakti will not arise. You may get jnana, but no bhakti. There could be little bit of bhakti, but it will not give rise to prema ultimately, because the ultimate goal of the devotees. Another example given in scriptures is that devotees are compared to electrical cables. Like Krishna is the source of all the energy. He is all this, the reservoir of all these shaktis. How does the energy comes down? If we have to draw the electricity, we need to have the cables. We need to have the cables from the source to the destination. Otherwise, we cannot draw the electricity. It is just sitting somewhere. So the devotees are compared as the electrical cables who conduct the mercy from Krishna to the general people in this world. And devotees are actually like, they are likened to a copper wire, because copper wire is a good conductor of electricity. If it is a plastic wire, I am sorry, it will not carry electricity. And if it is something else, no. But if it is a copper wire, it is sure that the electricity is going to be conducted in the wire. If it is silver wire, even better, that's a better conductor. But if it is gold wire, it is the best, because it is the best conductor. But it is so expensive, we cannot have gold wires. But sometimes these gold wires manifest in this world, very, very rare, which gives out greatest mercy. Of course, copper wires also give electricity, and any ordinary devotee can give out the mercy, because he has bhakti, because he has received the mercy from devotee, and he can give it out. But if it is a gold wire, that's a very, very special case. And that special case of gold wire is like Srila Prabhupada. Gives out great mercy, does not have any discrimination of whatever is the background, what is the context, what they were doing, were they engineers, doctors, nothing. They just are so merciful that they give mercy everywhere. So there is a very nice verse in Srimad Bhagavatam. It says that this kind of great devotees, they give mercy to Kirata, Huna, Andhra. These are the most abominable places in the earth like Mongolia and Germany, South India, Andhra and all that. And the verse goes like this: Kirata huna andhra pulinda pulkasha abhira shumbha yavana kashadaya ye anye cha papa yadapashraya sudhyanti tasmai prabhavishnave namaha. They purify, suddhave, they just purify the existence. How? By the association, by the mercy, by the knowledge that you are not this body, but you are a spirit soul. But that is just the beginning. They don't stop there. They start from there and they go on building this Bhagavad Gyan until we actually are totally fixed in Nishtha. And from there you go to Bhava and there you go to Prema. This is the process which Prabhupada has, which is an eternal process. Nobody was talking about this until Prabhupada spoke. Of course, there were many acharyas in different sampradayas. But the amount or the magnitude of contribution which Prabhupada had given, it's like beyond imagination. It's incredible. No other acharyas come even close to bring about that amount of transformation in society, that he has given this highest mercy to Mlechas and Yavanas. This is beyond imagination. Like, imagine, like I was, or anybody's, our case, if you imagine, were we even qualified? At least I was not qualified. But somehow or the other, some devotee thought, okay, let us give mercy to this rascal and let him actually, be successful. So this is the causeless mercy. This mercy is very, like, causeless means it is not caused by material gunas or your karmas or good whatever charity or donation or whatever. This is just causeless mercy. And this causeless mercy of Prabhupada is what is what is saving all of us and saving so many jivas in this material world. And of course, Srimad Bhagavatam is also, it's compared to Mohini avatar. We may read Srimad Bhagavatam, but we may not get the essence of it. We may get a totally different essence altogether, conclusion totally different. Like in the, towards the end of Srimad Bhagavatam, this is Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, this kind of testing which Sukadeva Goswami was doing on Parikshit Maharaj. Of course, Parikshit Maharaj is the highest devotee. He is a Mahabhagavat and all that. But he said that now that Srimad Bhagavatam is all concluded, let us all merge in Brahman. So for 1 second, Parikshit Maharaj was like bewildered. What is saying Brahman? It's actually not Brahman. He was trying to see how much effect, has created in Parikshit Maharaj, that he is now completely fixed. So hearing that, Parikshit Maharaj is saying, although you are saying it is Brahman, I understand you are referring as Bhagavan, because Brahman's other meaning is actually Bhagavan, as by Ramanujacharya and many other acharyas. So sometimes the messages in Bhagavatam could be indirect, but it actually, we have to apply our intelligence and understand in the proper context. So anyways, Sukadeva Goswami is a very exceptional scenario. Because he was Brahmavadi, he got an association of Vyasadeva, and that Brahmavadi, whose destination was Brahman, but he actually became a Mahajan. Why? Because he got to hear Bhagavatam from a pure devotee. Because in the same Bhagavatam, if you hear from a Vaishnava, it is compared to a poisoned milk. A Vaishnava mukhodgirnat puta hari kathamritam shravanam na kartavyam sarpochishta yatapaya. Sanatana Goswami, he says that never hear Srimad Bhagavatam or any Krishna Katha from those who are not devotees, because that is like a milk touched by serpent. which means it's a poisonous milk. So even though these people who are not devotees, they will read Bhagavatam, but their conclusion will be totally different. Totally different. So we have to be very, very careful that we have to hear from acharyas like Srila Prabhupada and previous acharyas, through which he has taken teachings. Of course, Rupa Goswami, he says we should hear from Mahaprabhu and Mahaprabhu's descendants. He says, Sri Chaitanya Mukhod Girnath Hare Krishneti Varnakam Majyanto Jagat Premni Vijayanto Yadavaya. He says, when Mahaprabhu chanted Hare Krishna, it was like a lava flowing through his mouth. That is the intensity, that is the attachment through which he used to chant. Why? He does not have to chant, he does not have to do sadhana bhakti. He is Krishna himself, but he comes as a devotee and then he establishes his process and makes his process very, very simple by chanting Nam Sankirtan. Because that's the conclusion of Srimad Bhagavatam, that Krishna is supreme, even though Krishna and all the supreme forms of the Lord are one and same, but yet Krishna is put in a very, very special position. He is first among equals. And the process to attain Krishna or attain Prema is actually, in this age, the most easiest is Nam Sankirtan. And that process is what is defined in Srimad Bhagavatam, and that is the easiest of all the process. And that's why you will see in our society, when somebody is, pregnant, we do Nam Sankirtan, even in all the functions like, baby shower and all that, so that the Nam Sankirtan, the sound vibration can actually do some benefit for the jiva. So anyways, there are many things to say on this regard. But the conclusion is, these prayers in the womb by this jiva is a very special prayer, and actually these are not ordinary jivas, these are very, very special, who have practiced bhakti in their previous life, or they have received some mercy by their spiritual master or Vaishnavas, or attained some sukriti in their life, such that they have some developed consciousness that they are not this body, they are a spirit soul. They identify the Supreme Lord. They identify the purpose of this life is to establish a relationship with the Supreme Lord, and the process of doing that is Krishna consciousness, by surrendering unto Krishna. And that's why here it says, I do not want to come out because this deva-māyā will capture me. I just want to be here. Why? Because this position of being in the association of the direct association with the Supreme Lord in the mood of prayer is actually the desire of the jiva. And that's the essence I could take from this verse. I'll stop here for any comments, questions. Yes, Brikupati Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Very nice class. So in the 8th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, there's in the prayers to Gajendra, in one text, in the last paragraph of the purport, Prabhupada says that only Krishna can deliver us from material existence. Indeed, he's always trying to do that. He doesn't wait till we offer prayers to him. Even before we offer prayers, he's incessantly trying to deliver us. His only aim is to deliver us. He's never lazy in regard to delivering us. And he concludes that he's known as Bodhi Karunaya, unlimitedly merciful. Okay? So here we have the child. You said a fortunate child. It's not any, ordinary child praying. But in a couple of days, we're going to hear this. Pushed down all of a sudden by the wind, the child comes out with great trouble, head downward, breathless and deprived of memory due to severe agony. The child thus falls on the ground, smeared with stool and blood, and plays just like a worm germinated from the stool. Here it is. He loses his superior knowledge and comes under the spell of Maya. Yeah, he comes crying, and cries under the spell of Maya. So, how is Krishna unlimitedly merciful? I mean, here's this fortunate soul praying in the womb, and he comes out and he falls into Maya.
Yeah. So, as I was saying, this is a jiva who was fortunate, who has practiced bhakti, but he is not completely fixed in prema. So until we reach prema, like in sadhana bhakti, or sadhana stage, and bhava stage, and prema stage, in sadhana, there is a lot of possibilities we can fall into ignorance from time to time, because we are not completely pure. There are still anarthas, there are still, aparadhs which is happening and all that. So for example, even though when we, like in our life also, from time to time we fall into ignorance, and that's why we hear Srimad Bhagavatam, that's why we chant, because we want to come out of that. So unless we reach into the stage of prema which is completely fixed, there will be instances where we will fall back into Maya and then again go back. Like how Krishna says, when your mind goes away from me, try to pull it back to me. So until we reach in the stage of sadhana bhakti, we are still practicing, we are not very pure. So there will be instances like in this case, when it is falling, it is coming into Maya. But then there will be a stage where he will revive his consciousness. How? That's the mercy of Krishna. Through him, mercy of Krishna, he gives the remembrance. So there will be flip-flops until sadhana, and even look at the case of Bharat Maharaj. He was in bhava stage. He took darshan of Vishnu. How did he fall down? He was in bhava stage. He took darshan of the Lord, but because of the association of the deer, he completely forgot Krishna. How is that possible? So unless we reach the perfect stage of prema, this is going to be dilly-dally, we can say. It is like sometimes we may get covered by ignorance.
So it's not the end of the story.
It's not the end of the story. Exactly. So he will come back. That's why Krishna says, Name bhakta pranashyati. My devotee will never perish. Why? Because he takes care of the devotees. So they may look like they go into Maya, but they will come back. How did Bharat Maharaj came back? He became a deer, but in the form of the deer, he could get the remembrance of his previous life where he did all these, good activities, bhakti. And next life he became Jada Bharat. Krishna takes care. But then this is, as you said, this is not the end. This is just a transitionary stage.
I have two technical questions.
Yeah.
You mentioned that Sukadeva Goswami, he stayed for 16 years in the womb of his mother, and he was formed. But I think I heard the other day in a class, maybe Drew DeKarma's class, that he came out and that's when he developed. Are you confident? I mean, because it sounds kind of strange that he could be, grow up inside the womb there. So, I mean, but I don't know. I can't.
So what the version which I heard is that he is like full blown. He's grown into a full boy. Because how come he can be like a small boy for like 16 years? He's growing. So he was like 16. But it's quite inconceivable to think that somebody who was 16 years and full blown, and then he comes out and he becomes like. It's difficult to explain, but that is the version which I heard, that he was fully grown inside, but he didn't want to come out.
So he was fully grown inside.
Yeah, because he was completely knowledgeable. He was able to hear Bhagavatam. That's
my next question.
Yeah.
If he heard Bhagavatam while he was in the womb of his mother, so when was he a Brahmavadi?
In his to start with, in his previous lives, it is said that in his previous lives.
Previous life.
Yeah, previous, because bahunam janmanam ante, it takes lot of lives to actually to attain that stage. Even a jnani goes through a lot of hundred thousands of lives. So in his previous lives, he was a Brahmavadi. But when he heard Srimad Bhagavatam emanating from Vyasadeva, that purified him.
So in this lifetime, he was not a Brahmavadi.
No. Once he came out, he was like, he's a devotee. And it is said, there are two verses specifically which made that difference in Sukadeva Goswami. One verse is Aho Bakiyam verse, which says that Krishna is so merciful even to Putana, that somebody who comes to kill Krishna, they get the mercy. Not just that they get good result, but they get the highest results of attaining Vaikuntha and getting a position of a mother. That is like far out. Nobody can have so much of mercy. That's only Krishna. And the second verse which made the difference and transformed him to a devotee is a description of Krishna, of his beauty, of his decorated with yellow garments and turbans and Vaijayanti mala and with forest garlands. Barha pidam, that verse. Barha pidam natavara vapuhu karnayo karnikaram. So these two verses, the mercy of the Lord and the beauty of the Lord had transformed this Brahmavadi into a devotee. That's what is my understanding, is what I've heard in my previous classes. There.
Thank you, Prabhu. Yeah, I hear you saying that only special souls get that realization, that there's the Supreme Personality, and praising them and surrendering to them. But I was thinking, could it be like a thief mentality who is being caught and lamenting, right? Because one of the causes for people coming to the path of spirituality is distress. So if that embryo sees 10 past lives, 100 past lives, and sees what they've done and what was the consequences, it's kind of, I mean, it's a simple conclusion that it's time to ask for amendment, right? And but then again, if it comes with that mentality as a thief when they've been born, but the thief gets a chance to steal, they steal again. And that's what happens to most of us, I think, unless we get the mercy of a devotee who gives us the philosophy and the spark of bhakti.
Yeah, but we also see that there are thieves who get caught, but they don't lament. They again do the same thing. They keep on doing. But there are some people who get this realization that they go through this problem, they lament, and then they try to correct themselves. So in the scriptures it is said that if we do any mistake, if we lament very genuinely from the heart, most of the reactions goes away. Which means what? The most of the reactions, which means are the impediments for you to progress, goes away. But if the lamentation is not genuine, it is just like superficial. Because if a thief is caught by the police and if he's lamenting just to escape from the police, that is superficial. Because he's going to go back again and do the same thing. He's going to do something, whatever, stealing and all that. But if the realization is genuine, then scripture says that his reactions to the past misdeeds are gone, and then because of that the Lord may bestow the mercy. But of course that mercy has to come through devotees, because Supreme Lord is not here. Unless he gets a mercy of the devotees, I'm sorry, he has no chance that he will actually progress. Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you for a wonderful class.
Thank you, Prabhu.
I was thinking while you were speaking and different devotees saying things that, in life, one may acquire spiritual knowledge circumstantially, by association. But it also seems that if that acquires that knowledge, just by the circumstance, we're prone to forget. It's like sometimes you see our children in Krishna consciousness, they grow up in a family that's Krishna conscious, but even though they're in that family situation, just by circumstances, they're prone to forget about spirituality, about spiritual life. So I was thinking that this is probably our biggest, negativity, that we're prone to forget. So that's why it's so important to always have the association of devotees. And just by that association, then you don't forget. Otherwise, you forget. And I think that, you see that we're seeing this whole scenario here of a child remembering in the womb, coming out of the womb, And by circumstances, it forgets everything. And by association, they can redevelop that relationship and that understanding. And I think that's the mercy of the pure devotees and of Krishna consciousness. And if we stay in that particular association, we'll not forget who we are and what we are.
Yes, Prabhu. Very well said, yeah. That's why sadhu sangha is very, very praised. Even lava matra sadhu sangha sarva siddhi hoy, that even is it 1/8 of a second lava matra or something like that, 100, even a 100 second of association of devotees can save somebody from drowning into this ocean of material miseries. Yeah.
One thing I think most important difficulty in this material life is death of loved ones. Like recently, my father's friend, his son, his grandson, one and only grandson, 32 years old grandson, he passed away. So it was really painful, death of loved one is really, because we are attached to our family members, and losing them is really painful. That's what. Even though we understand we are a spiritual being, but in this material world, this Maya is so strong. Bondage with our family members is so strong. It's not easy to overcome that family bondage. It's not like quitting the family, but when we lose our family member, it's most difficult. Even for every devotees, that phase is most difficult. I know it's a temporary life, but that's what I see. When Prabhupada says the four painful is the death, old age, disease, but I didn't realize, death is, I see death every day, but still when I feel my family member, losing family member, that's where I feel death is so painful, and that's the most difficult problem to solve, the one way in the material life.
Well, the solution is bhakti. Take to bhakti, and there is, of course, it may take lifetimes, but ultimately it gives not just deathlessness, but it gives the highest prema. And that's why when Arjuna was in ignorance, not ignorance, but we can say seemingly ignorance, Krishna enlightened him. And that's why we need enlightenment, that we are not this body. It takes time to actually absorb and practice it life. Even when Arjuna lost his own son, he was crying. But then to that instance, Prabhupada is saying, even devotees, when they go through these problems of birth, death, old age and disease, they may be temporarily shaken, but they will come back very soon. They continue their service. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitya Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.